What up, everybody? It's the Broken Bat Podcast. I'm J Rob, joined by Peter and Casey. This is episode number 18. We got some big things we're going to talk about. Maybe some things out east, down south, up north. I don't know, maybe somewhere else, but you're about to find out here in a second. But before we get there, Peter, where are they going to find us at?
We are currently on Instagram and Twitter at the Broken Bat Pod, no spaces. We also are on YouTube, which is very exciting. You can
Yes, sir.
watch and see our reactions to the wild takes that some people, maybe the next person that I'm going to introduce on the podcast, give sometimes. So that's very exciting, very cool. Go ahead, give us a follow. Be great on whatever you listen to us on. We'd greatly appreciate that. Just, lets us see. Give us some feedback, interact with us. We'd love all that kind of stuff. So, Casey, let them know what we're talking about today.
Well, I'm going to keep it real short and sweet. We're talking about 5 teams in particular, okay? We're talking about a team in Colorado, 3 teams in California,
3.
and a team in Arizona.
The AZ.
If you didn't guess, it's not the AL West. It's the NL West we're talking about.
Not the NL.
Get hyped.
We hype, boys. Yes, sir. And before we get into all that, we're going to let you listen to our beautifully homemade intro. And while you're listening to that, go ahead and scroll up a little bit, hit that follow button on whatever platform you're listening to us on, and enjoy the music, baby.
Can I give a quick shout out real quick?
Please.
Let's go Yankees. Chase for 28.
True. Not that odd. That's like room temp take, but that's all right.
Oh, where's Shohei going to go?
Obviously, I'm no GM or no Major League Baseball owner. But if I were,
As always, go M's.
I can pronounce it however I want until he tells me personally when he comes and joins the pod as a friend of the pod.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that little beautiful rendition of the Broken Bat Podcast. Just little clips from previous episodes that we have. That's all real. That's all us. And all we're here to do is talk some baseball with you. And specifically today about the NL West. Peter, give it to me to start it off. Who's best team in the NL West right now?
The Los Angeles Dodgers.
Ooh, he went with the Dodgers. Tell me why. Keep talking.
Absolutely. So they're currently 8-2 in their last 10, starting to look like the Dodgers. The absolute smackdown on a couple teams recently. And we talked about this a couple episodes ago. I think the teams had their opportunity to distance themselves from the Dodgers in the division.
True.
The Diamondbacks were cool, exciting. So, they're still second, only 2 games, 1 game and a half back right now. But Dodgers are putting it together. Padres are still slightly disappointing. Giants not looking great. Colorado, shout out Chris Bryant, friend of the pod, but they're god awful. So I think it's the Dodgers division to lose, just like it's been for about the past 15 years. Longer than Casey's.
Just as long as Casey's playoff drought.
Streak. Yeah. So I think, again, the Dodgers division to lose at this point, and they're not losing it. So
yeah, that's true. Even after Wednesday's game, they're on a 6-game win streak, and they're plus 42 in the run differential.
And real quick,
yeah,
let me give a shout out to Clayton Kershaw.
Clayton Kershaw, older pitcher, been around for a long time. That guy just won the NL Pitcher of the Month for the month of April, which is awesome. I love, getting to see greats stick around the game and still have success. So yeah, you know who he reminds me of? A not as good pitcher or as good looking. He reminds me of Adam Wainwright. Solid, really good pitcher. So Clayton Kershaw, good for you, man. LOL. Casey, who do you agree are the LA Dodgers the best team in the West, or you got another team in your nest of the best?
Yeah, I have the Colorado Rockies penciled in that division.
Before we move past, let's boo that man.
No, don't.
Listen to the previous podcast. He advocated for knockers. I think it's because he knew that line was coming.
No.
But he earned it.
I am all about the dad jokes, the punchlines, so I'm gonna get those in there. But Casey, that's ridiculous. Colorado Rockies.
Yeah, have you ever heard of the Mile High Miracle? Have you heard of the?
Actually,
have you heard of
Is that
I know Pete's fair. It's going to be after the season. I know Pete's favorite month of the year is Rocktober. Chris Bryant's gonna lead him all the way. You know, you heard it. You heard it here. You heard it here first, right?
Cut off. We're not. We're trying to be a realistic podcast.
Yeah.
The Rockies are not doing anything.
He's literally.
I don't remember if you were.
You can have wild homer takes about your M's because that makes sense, but not about the freaking Rockies.
Yeah.
No, look, you guys gaslit me to the point where I had to throw the Mariners #1 in my power rankings a few weeks back, and then next week it's like, oh guys, the Astros are in there. Holy shit, we had a. Oh, guess what he was talking about.
Astros have still never made my top 10 of the rankings.
Look, all I'm gonna say is Chris Bryant's gonna go on an absolute tear. That you're talking like I'm gonna there. You know, we all know how much Pete loves Shohei Ohtani, okay? And I know for a fact that after this Rockies run that they're gonna have to do this mile high miracle that's gonna be complete, and Rocktober is in full swing. When you have Dinger, I think it's his name. The giant purple dinosaur just absolutely hugging Pete, and it's gonna be the most like heartwarming. Like that's gonna be a Christmas card right there. And all I'm saying is, I'm a simp for Chris Bryant, right? Like one of my dogs. He's a friend of the pod, right? But Pete, on the other hand, he just loves whoever is great at the time, right? He loves Judge, he loves Shohei, he loves whomever, right? Julio Rodriguez. But after this, he's gonna love.
I'm a Chris Bryant fan. Question.
When did I become a Chris Bryant fan?
Yeah, just curious.
2016.
Oh, weird. When he led the Cubs to the fucking World Series. Every listener, I would like to personally apologize because this is the worst take I've ever heard in my life.
Hey,
the Rockies are going to be eliminated by August.
Yes.
Hey, I drove my bitch ass to Vegas to watch Chris Bryant play. I saw him play in Utah. Like, while you guys are all writing him off, I'm over here being a simp for him, being a honk for Chris Bryant. It's one of my boys, you know. You can't take that away from me.
Casey, this
just because. Look, actually, I'm gonna go as far as say that the Rockies won that Nolan Arenado deal because look at Nolan Arenado now. Look at the Cardinals now, bro. The Rockies actually finessed the Cardinals. They're like, dude, I can't believe the Cardinals took that bitch ass, bro. We sure to get an extra $50 million to sweeten the pot for him, but got that douche off our roster. Best thing the franchise ever did.
We would like to personally apologize for Casey's takes. If he is suspended for next episode, we just had to sit him down, teach him about the Cardinal way.
Yes,
and that we're a serious podcast, not just spewing bullshit out of our mouths because we like one player.
Yeah. Hey,
so this is what I'm going to tell you.
And Rogers, CJ Crone.
You tell me.
You have Charlie Black up there.
You tell me if they won this trade. They got their biggest piece in that trade was Austin Gomber from the St. Louis Cardinals. This year, Austin Gomber has 2 wins, which is decent, yeah, compared to his 4 losses and his ERA of 7.57. And then he started 6 games, so he's got a decision in all. Only 27 innings pitched in all those, 32 hits, 23 runs, almost has more walks than strikeouts. Rockies lost that deal, but that's besides the point. We're not going there.
No, they won.
Casey's no longer allowed to have takes.
I stand by my comment I made.
Privilege.
You just wait till Rocktober happens, and then we'll see who's laughing. Because you're definitely not making it to October.
Yeah, I'm probably going to be dead by the time that happens in 2093. But there's
it's actually 2023 because the Cardinals are not making the postseason this year.
Neither are the Rockies. But anyways, getting back to our NL West discussion on who's the best team, I think actually Casey misheard or misread. Could be that Illinois Education, but Casey, we're talking about the best teams in the NL West, not the worst teams. So I unfortunately agree that the Dodgers are the best team in the West. I say unfortunately because I'm not a Dodgers fan. Just because I feel like, sorry, Pete, they're a team like the Yankees that have money and just buy their championships and don't win it.
Casey, I wish I was buying championships right now.
Yes, you know what? It's not the 1950s anymore, yeah. But I don't know. The Dodgers are playing really hot. Obviously, 6-game win streak and 8-2 after Wednesday's game, plus 42 run differential. Arizona is right there, 3 games above 500 and 1.5 games back. But the reason I think they won't stick around as much is because their run differential is only plus 8. And, excuse me, they have a 500 record of teams below 500. So against teams that aren't as good, they're really not taking advantage of that, and I think that's a big reason that they didn't take a bigger lead in the NL West when the Dodgers or the Padres weren't performing at the beginning of the year. But hopefully they stay in second. I just highly doubt it. Casey, real talk. Who do you think finishes by All-Star break, not season? Who's in first place, Dodgers or Padres, and why?
Padres.
Really? Why do you think that?
I mean, it's kind of like the Yankee effect here, okay? Like, you just spent all this money, you have all this star talent. Like, the expectation, like, the pressure is all on the Padres right now. And so if you don't perform, which I think they will, I think it's a matter of time, because Soto's hitting 210, I think, on the season, somewhere around there. He's hitting low 200s.
He's playing terrible.
Yeah, he'll turn it up. He's young. I think he'll figure it out. Tatis is kind of like that spark plug of that team. I think he's going to be doing some good things to that. I got to set up for this talk. Xander Bogaerts, though, I think is the main piece of that offense. He's played really well for considering most teams get out, or like most players that make that kind of a big deal and like switch scenery, switch teams and whatnot. They usually are off to a slow start, but he's been pretty productive for the Padres so thus far. Machado's still consistent. I think they'll figure out. I'm not really sure. I don't want to make that take, but I think they'll figure it out. I think once they get fire at all.
I'm curious because you made a take about Rocktober. No. So if it takes too wild for you, we gotta hear it.
Yeah.
No, I'm good. I'm not going to start the class with that take.
What was the take?
It's going to lead to Rock. It's going to lead to Rocktober again, and I don't want to go back there. That's
okay.
A dark place.
Thank you. But so, Peter, what do you think? Is this a hot take? In case you can answer too, but Peter, do you think? Because I saw a headline somewhere. And then just about Shohei, or not Shohei, Soto, and how he's not essentially performing this year and he's just off to a bad start. What I thought of, and this is kind of a bit of an extreme, but do you guys know how old's Soto? Like 24, 25? Isn't he really young?
I think he's like younger. 24. I think he's like 23, 24.
Yeah, so super young.
Find out an actual answer instead of...
Yeah. Are you looking that up, Peter?
Yeah.
Okay. So he's obviously super young, and he's off to a slow start. He didn't play terrible, but he wasn't amazing.
He's 24.
He's 24. Did he turn 25 this year, or he just turned 24?
He was born on October 25th.
Okay, so he'll turn 25 into the year. But he's...
In Rocktober.
Yeah. Let's not go there, though.
No, Rocktober?
No, don't say I knew it. I was like, that was Scooby-Doo right there. Scooby-Doo?
It really was.
But
Rocktober?
Is Soto, obviously I think it's too early to tell, but is Soto a bust? Like, in the fact of he's so young. Casey says, he brought up the point he's young, he'll figure it out. But also we got so little, and by so little, I mean a few years, but like Soto really hasn't been in the league that long. Like, is he really worth the money that he's been paid?
100%. I don't like. You're getting him through his prime and getting him toward the back end of his prime. Like, if you look at any player with like a 10-year stretch, if not longer, that people have down years by their standards. But we could be looking at Soto at the end of the year with like 20 home runs and batting 280. And to some people, to some players, that's a career year. By Soto's standards, that's a disappointment, right? I think he'll figure it out. He'll make adjustments. Like, he's so young and he could still be developing. I don't know. Like, it could be coaching in-house too. Like, maybe the coaching staff, they rework it, but it's working for Bogaerts, Machado, even Tatis, I would say. So I think it's just there comes a point where like players struggle, especially in a 162 season. Like, any player besides maybe Shohei Ohtani and Chris Bryant, like an average player struggles. So I think it's just a stretch where he'll figure it out. I think the Padres with this kind of like new look lineup and all the money they spent, and like that's kind of like the big offseason buzz was the Padres and Mets spending all this money. I just don't see. And maybe it's just a slow start. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and my thing is, I'd almost think, and then Peter, I want to get your thoughts on it too, but I almost feel like he should be playing better. Like almost all those players should be better. And the fact of when a pitcher's going through that lineup, I don't know exactly what it looks like, but I'd assume they're pretty much all back to back. When you have Bogarts and then Soto, then Tatis, then Machado. And am I missing anybody? When you have those 4 back to back, and I'd assume Soto's probably in the middle somewhere, like you have so much protection. It's not like they can pitch around you because they have someone just as dangerous right behind you and right in front of you.
Well, even like if you go farther back, like Nola, Cronenworth, like Ho-Sung Kim, like there's that's a deep lineup. Not even like your superstars. Like those are all like quality players that make an impact. I mean,
that's my point though, is they have 4 superstars. Like, so you can't pitch around, and when you come to that part of the lineup, you can't pitch around him. So he should be getting pitches to hit, and he's just not. I mean, to a degree, I looked up, he's batting 227 right now, but he's not living up to it. But Peter, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it is kind of interesting because I mean, I think a lot of Soto's reputation was built on that run by the Nationals.
Yeah.
And besides that, I mean, he's been a good player. Don't get me wrong. But it is kind of like, I think, a lot of pressure on him this year because he's, going to try to earn that contract that he's about to get and try to, set a record for highest paid player and all that kind of stuff, I'm sure. So it'll be interesting to see whether since the team is like looking better, they're 7-3 their last 10, where they're like helps him kind of calm down, settle in now that Tatis is back. And it's like kind of like, okay, going to take a little bit of pressure off, and if he's going to start producing, or if it's going to continue to be like a season-long thing, where it's like it's weird because, like I talked about, he had the run with the Nationals, and you think that would have been the most pressure he's ever felt, but it might be now when he's like trying to earn himself the contract.
Yeah,
the pressure is getting to him, and that's why he's.
Can I ask something, Pete?
Go for it.
So I know like there's been, or he's actually come out and said like the pitch clock. He's actually like not fully on board or whatnot, because you guys know he does his like little Soto shuffle where he'll like kind of dance in the box and like stare down your pitcher and whatnot, like all this crap. And he's saying the pitch clock kind of like takes him like out of like playing the mental games and whatnot. So it's a lot of like a mental side of thing for him too. So I think it's just him adjusting. He's probably having one of the harder times adjusting to like the new rules and the pitch clock and whatnot. So I assume when he kind of figures out a rhythm that works for him, that he can kind of still play his somewhat mind games, but still like, like plays in the rules. I'm sure he'll turn it around too, because that is a thing.
Yeah, no, I 100% think it. Like the mental side of the game is always has a bigger impact than your average fan will think of in any sport, I believe. Generally speaking, but like just looking at some of his numbers, even when he came over from Washington to the Padres in the second half of last year, he only had 6 home runs. Like essentially, so he played 101 games with the Nationals. He played 52 with the Padres. So essentially, if you take his stats from the Nationals and cut him in half, that's where he should roughly be if he stays on the same pace. But he had 21 home runs with the Nationals. He had 6 with the Padres. So he's almost like a third of that number, not half. So he's way down. RBIs are way down. He only hit 16 in 52 games. He struck out 34 times, which is half. So that's about on average. But he hit for the year, he hit 242. He hit 236 with San Diego. So generally speaking, all of his numbers were down. This year, they're down again. Like they're not as bad, but they're not great. And he has started to play a little bit better, and there is the factor of like the pitch clock that is obviously new this year. But after he's played 32 games, after 32 games plus spring training, which did he play in the World Baseball Classic?
I thought so.
I don't know, but he would have played at least some games in spring training, and so he probably played at least 40 games, if not closer to 50. And you still don't have a rhythm down on what you can do in the box with the pitch clock. I feel like it has to be more than just the pitch clock. I agree it could be part of it, but also at this point I feel like you should have something figured out. Peter, I feel like you got something.
Yeah, I definitely would agree with that, because it's like you were saying. I mean, he's young, like we talked about, right? He's 24, so yeah, he's been in the league for a couple of years, but there's players that have been in the league for 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
They obviously had a routine established that they were used to without the pitch clock and anything like that. So, I mean, I agree. Mental is a lot of the game, stuff like that. And I hope he adjusts. Like, I like seeing players be great. So I hope he figures it out.
Yeah.
Gets back to what we all expect him to be, because that's what I want to see. But I don't know. I think that's an interesting, like I kind of think it maybe two more is like, and again, this is just making stuff up. So, don't take anything I say. I'm just bullshitting. Not as much as bullshit Rocktober, but
yeah, seriously.
I think that might just be a way of him, like, rather than being like, oh no, I'm thinking about the contract and putting pressure on me. It's just like a convenient, oh, this happened, so I can blame this.
It's an easy scapegoat.
Yeah, that's kind of, it's a possibility, because, like, I mean, yeah, how many people have been in the league for 10 plus years and aren't, like, you have a very established routine when you're in your 30s and you've been hitting one way for so long in the league. You get a freaking Joey Gallo, right? He's another guy who you think of who has who had an insanely long batting routine, right? And so you'd think that'd be enough, but he's having a better year than he had recently. So, and the shift is gone, which is helping Gallo, but should also be helping Soto and all these kind of things. So, it's like, and Joey Gallo's been around longer than Soto, so I don't know how much I buy into that.
Yeah. Two things I want to say real quick. One, just think about it. We don't need to answer. How good would the Washington Nationals be right now if they did not trade away all those pieces? And I come to that because I'm looking up Trey Turner's, and I, for some reason, forgot he was with the Washington Nationals. But you'd have Trey Turner, you have Soto, you have Bryce Harper, you would still have Max Scherzer, like all these players. They would still be a phenomenal team and probably making like pushes to the World Series instead of being literally in last place in the NL East.
Yeah, the one piece they kept is Strasburg.
Yeah. That's who you went with.
I think pitched in 2 years.
Yeah,
not longer. So,
but I
forgot about him.
Yeah, I pulled up Trey Turner,
exactly.
Kind of his stats, because like what you were saying, Pete. One thing I thought of is it's interesting to see, and again, Casey, to your point, it goes back to the mental side of it. There's 2 years that usually like can play a big role that is like outside factors on your actual gameplay. 1 year being like contract year, like your contract's going to end at the end of the year, and so you have to play well to get a good contract, or even the first year of your contract, especially when you have a big contract or whatever. There's a lot of times where players don't like fulfill that, or they kind of, it almost seems like, oh, I got my money, so I'm not gonna, they don't try as hard or something like that or whatever. But I pulled up Trey Turner because he's kind of one of those players that like got a big paycheck or whatever with the Phillies, but he's actually playing pretty dang good this year. I mean, he had a rock star, what's the word? Oh, World Baseball Classic. I mean, he pretty much led that, but he's batting 259, which isn't amazing, but it's good. He has 4 stolen bases. 8 RBIs, 3 home runs, but I mean, he's not a power hitter, so that's not necessarily his MO. But I don't know. I feel like he has performed better than, say, Soto would, but they're in opposites. Trey Turner's got his contract, and he's playing the year after Soto's, because Soto's contract ends at the end of this year, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So
after this year,
I don't know. I'm interested to see kind of how he does the rest of the year. But
I think that's a big, because I mean, we talked about, I still think the Dodgers are going to win, but I think if Soto gets hot and Tatis, like if those two live up to their potential, that's the Padres' shot to win the division.
Yeah, I think the Padres have the best chance to win the division, or I just mean like they have the most, I don't know. They have the best talent, I think, in that division
by far.
Ceiling. Yeah, they have the highest ceiling. Thank you. Because, I mean, the Dodgers are good, and the Dodgers are playing really well right now, but I feel like they're also missing some pieces. I mean, granted, they have Freddie Freeman. They have Mookie Betts. Kershaw is looking like Kershaw of old and is playing really well. Like, they have good pieces there, but I feel like they don't look as good or aren't as deep as they were a couple years ago. And then, but you have San Diego, who literally, like we talked about, has 4 all-stars literally on their team, and then also have good, like, supporting role players as well. So definitely think it's their division to lose, but they just to this point have not played up to that. I mean, they're only 2 games back of the Dodgers for first place, but they're also 17-15. So good, 2 games over 500.
Third place still.
Yeah. But
Casey, real quick, how many playoff teams do you think we get out of the West? And then J-Rob after.
That's tough. That really is tough, honestly. Because, to be honest with you, like, there could be.
No.
I think you get 2. No, I don't know. I don't even know about that. The NL's tough, man. Because, like, I feel like
you think more or less than 2, potentially.
I want to say less almost, because, like,
yeah.
I don't know, man. That's tough. I think there's 2. I think it's the Padres and Dodgers.
Yeah. Peter, what do you think?
I mean, I asked you, but I'll go for. I also think Padres, Dodgers.
Sorry, I didn't hear you ask me.
Yeah, I said go after Casey. I think it's 2. I think Dodgers division, Padres want to take a wild card.
Actually, I have a hot take.
Oh God.
I actually think you get 3. I think Rocktober makes a comeback this year. They get that last.
He forgot.
They get that. They get the 6th seed in the wild card. They make a magical run. That's the Mile High Miracle that I was telling you about.
Heard it here first. Mile High Miracle. Something that will never happen, but read about it in the fiction section. I also think there's probably going to be 2. I don't want to say 2 because I think there's going to be 3 that come out of the East, just with probably Atlanta, the Mets, and I mean Philly's looking. Granted, they're on a 4-game lose streak right now, but with getting Bryce Harper back, like I think they're going to turn it around, which leaves only 1 in the Central, which the Cardinals are looking really good to take the NL Central this year.
Oh,
so
we need to wrap up with this. What if you guys are making a Rocktober and Cardinals talk?
Well, mine was sarcasm. I don't actually think that at this point, but yeah. So I think the NL West you get 2. I think Padres win the division. I think Dodgers are second wild card. But any last things before we close it off here, boys?
If you guys may have known, if you follow our podcast a lot, me and Teoscar Hernandez usually butt heads and we have some sort of beef going on. We've talked it over. We've worked it out, our differences. He stepped up to the play against the A's game, and won my heart back. You know, I know we all said about QC and whatnot, and I think Teoscar is better than QC. I'm sorry, QC.
Casey's literally on just a back and forth. Me and Pete were talking him up. Casey was hating on him. Casey came around. He's like, I like him. And then he was hating on him. And at the beginning of last episode, he's like, I like him. And then by the end of the episode, 40 minutes later, he's like, I hate him. And now at this episode, it's like, I love him again.
It's hard to keep track of.
It
honestly,
is.
Shout out Teoscar, friend of the pod. Shout out QC, friend of the pod.
Also, I have a few more statements I would make as well.
Gosh.
Oh my! Nope. Wrap it up, J-Rob. Final statement. Close us out.
Rocktober, go M's, and go Cubs, go.
Go Cubs, go. Terrible saying. But yeah, we appreciate you guys listening. We appreciate you guys sticking around. We hope you guys like what you hear. If you guys do like what you hear, please go ahead and hit that follow button on whatever platform you are listening to us on. We would appreciate that very much. Also, Peter told you at the beginning of the episode where you can find us on socials. We love to do polls, ask questions, just have a bunch of stuff on there to try to get some interaction, see what you guys are thinking. So if you like that kind of thing or just want to see any updates with the podcast or anything like that, follow us there. But thank you guys. Have a great rest of your night. And thank you for listening to the Broken Bat Podcast.